There are things sitting in your home right now that are quietly weighing you down, and you've stopped even seeing them, not because they're dirty or broken or obviously junk. Most of them look perfectly fine. They sit in drawers and closets and on shelves, blending into the background, and you walk past them every single day without a second thought. But each one is doing something to you. Each one is taking up not just physical space, but a small piece of your mental space, a quiet, invisible weight you carry without ever realizing you're carrying it. The Japanese have a practice for releasing exactly these things. It's sometimes called danshari, a word built from the ideas of refusing, discarding, and separating. And it's something deeper than what the West calls decluttering. Decluttering is about tidying, about making a space look neater. Dansari is about liberation, about consciously letting go of the things that no longer serve the life you're actually living, and feeling the genuine lightness that comes when you do. It's not about the objects. It's about what the objects are doing to you. Let me say one thing, and then I won't bring it up again. I put the heart of everything on this channel into a small book, Wabi Sabi, Finding Peace in an Imperfect Life. It's linked below, if it speaks to you. Now let's continue. Today I'm going to show you 7 specific things to throw out of your home, the Japanese way, and more importantly, why each one is quietly weighing on you, and what you'll feel when it's gone. Some of these will be easy. At least one of them will be surprisingly hard to let go of, and when we get to it, you'll understand why, because it's not really about the object at all. Stay with me until number 6, because it's the one almost everyone is holding on to for a reason that's quietly keeping them stuck in the past. And number 7 isn't a physical object at all. It's the most important thing on this list. Let's begin. Open your closet and be honest. How much of what's in there do you actually wear? For most people, it's a fraction, and the rest falls into specific, telling categories. The clothes that no longer fit, that you're keeping for the day you'll fit into them again. The clothes from a version of your life that's over. The job you left, the person you used to be. The things you bought and never wore, still carrying a faint sting of the money spent. The someday clothes, for an occasion or a lifestyle that never quite arrives. Here's what the Japanese approach understands about these. They aren't neutral. Every time you open that closet, you see them, and each one sends a small, silent message. You don't fit this anymore. You're not that person now. You wasted this. You're not living the life you imagined. You don't consciously hear these messages, but your mind registers them. Every single day, a closet full of clothes for a life you're not living is a closet that quietly reminds you each morning of everything you're not. Danshari says, let them go with gratitude for whatever purpose they served, and keep only what fits the life you're actually living now. And the feeling when you do is remarkable. A closet that holds only clothes for your real present self. You open it, and every single thing in it says, yes, this is you, now. That's not just a tidier closet. It's a small daily affirmation, instead of a small daily reproach. Throw out the clothes for a life you're not living, what you'll feel, a closet that finally reflects who you actually are. This one is almost universal, and it's one of the quiet tyrannies of a home. The gifts you don't like, don't use, and don't want, but keep because someone gave them to you, and getting rid of them feels like a betrayal. The ornament that isn't your taste, the item a relative gave you that you've never once used, the present sitting in a drawer or on a shelf, kept purely out of obligation, generating a small pang of guilt every time you see it. And remember, you're supposed to like it. Here's the reframe the Japanese approach offers, and it's genuinely freeing. A gift's purpose is fulfilled the moment it's given. Its job was to express care, to convey a thought, to mark a moment, and it did that job completely at the instant it was received. The object itself was never the point. The feeling behind it was. So keeping an object you don't want, out of guilt, doesn't honor the gift or the giver. It just burdens you with an obligation the gift was never meant to create. The love was already received. The object has already done its work. Once you understand this, you can let these things go with genuine gratitude rather than guilt. Thank the gift for the care it carried. And release the object because keeping it was never what the giver actually wanted. They wanted to make you happy, and a thing that sits generating guilt does the opposite. The feeling afterward is a surprising lightness, the quiet relief of no longer being held hostage by objects you never wanted. in the name of a love you already received. Throw out the guilt gifts you keep out of obligation. What you'll feel, free of a debt you never actually owed. Every home has one. The thing that's broken, that you're keeping because someday you'll fix it. The appliance that doesn't work. The item with a missing piece. The thing you've been meaning to repair for months or years. Sitting in a drawer, a closet, a garage, waiting for a someday that, if you're honest, never comes. And it's not just the broken things. It's the might need it someday pile too. The duplicates, the spare parts to things you no longer own. The items kept purely on the vague possibility of a future use that never materializes. Here's what these quietly do to you. Every one of them is an unfinished task, sitting in your home, silently nagging. Every time you see the broken thing, some part of you registers, I still need to deal with that. A tiny, open loop that never closes. A home full of these is a home full of quiet, unfinished business. Dozens of little open loops draining your attention and generating a low, constant sense of things undone. You're not just storing broken objects. You're storing guilt and obligation and the weight of 100 tasks you'll never actually do. The Japanese instinct toward not wasting is real, but it's balanced by clarity about what's genuinely useful versus what's just being stored as guilt. Be honest, if you haven't fixed it in a year, you're not going to. If you've never needed the might need it someday thing, you won't. Let them go and feel every one of those open loops close. The relief of a home with no unfinished business quietly nagging at you is greater than you'd expect, because you never realized how much those little loops were draining you until they're gone. Throw out the broken someday and might need it piles. What you'll feel, 100 small nagging loops finally closing. This one is subtle, and most people have never consciously noticed they're doing it. The things in your home that exist not because you want or use them, but because of some imagined judgment from others. The objects kept to project an image, to look a certain way, to impress a visitor who rarely comes. The books you'll never read but display because they make you look well read. The decorative objects kept not because you love them, but because they signal taste or status. The things arranged for an audience, real or imagined, rather than for your own actual use and enjoyment. Here's what this costs you. When your home is partly a performance, a set arranged to impress others, it stops being fully yours. Part of it belongs to an imagined audience, to their judgment, to the version of yourself you're trying to project. And living inside a performance is quietly exhausting because some part of you is always maintaining the image, rather than simply living. Your home becomes a stage instead of a sanctuary. The Japanese ideal of the home as a private sanctuary, a place of rest and restoration rather than display, cuts straight through this. Your home is not a showroom for other people's approval. It's the one place that's supposed to be entirely yours, arranged for your peace rather than anyone's judgment. Let go of the things that exist only to impress, and keep only what you genuinely use and love. The feeling is a kind of homecoming, a space that's finally fully yours, where you can stop performing and simply be. Throw out the things kept only to impress others. What you'll feel, a home that's yours again, not a stage. This one is different from the others because it's not about useless things. It's about too many useful ones. The Western instinct is to accumulate multiples. 12 mugs when you use 3, a drawer of 15 kitchen utensils when you reach for the same 4, duplicate tools, backup versions, more of everything than you could ever actually use. None of it is useless, exactly, which is precisely why it's so easy to justify keeping and so easy for it to quietly pile up. But here's what the excess does. Even useful things in excess become clutter, because the sheer quantity is its own weight. The overstuffed drawer you have to fight to open, the crowded cabinet where things get lost, the volume of stuff that has to be stored, cleaned, organized, and navigated around, even though each individual item is perfectly usable. And there's a subtler cost. When you have 15 of something, you appreciate none of them. Abundance dulls attention. The one favorite mug is lost among 11 others you don't care about. The Japanese instinct toward quality over quantity, toward the few well-chosen things over the many, says, keep what you actually use, in the amount you actually need, and release the excess. Keep the 4 utensils you reach for, not the 15. Keep the mugs you love, not the dozen. And what you'll feel is a home that breathes. Drawers that open easily, cabinets with space, The few things you kept given room to be seen and appreciated. Owning less of what you use is not deprivation. It's the difference between a home that's crammed and a home that's calm. Throw out the excess multiples of things you use. What you'll feel: a home with room to breathe. Here it is. Number 6. The hard one, the one almost everyone is holding on to for a reason that's quietly keeping them stuck. These are the objects tied to a former version of yourself. The hobby equipment from the passion you no longer pursue. The supplies for the business that didn't work out. The mementos of a relationship that ended. The things from a chapter of your life that's closed. Kept not because they serve your present, but because letting them go feels like letting go of who you were. This is the hardest category to release, and now you understand why. It was never about the objects, it's about identity. Each of these things is an anchor to a past self, and getting rid of it feels like erasing a part of your own history, admitting that a chapter is truly over, releasing a version of yourself you're not quite ready to say goodbye to. So the hobby gear stays, and the failed business supplies stay, and the mementos stay, and quietly they hold you in the past. Here's what the Japanese practice understands, and it's genuinely profound. You are not your possessions, and letting go of an object does not erase the memory, the experience, or the person you were. Your past lives in you, not in the thing. The relationship you had is not stored in the object. It's part of who you've become. The chapter that closed doesn't get erased by releasing its physical remnants. It's already woven into you, permanently, whether the objects stay or go. Holding on to the physical anchors doesn't preserve the past. It just keeps you tethered to it, unable to fully step into who you are now. Dansari, that separation from the emotional hold of objects, is precisely about this. Not forgetting the past, but freeing yourself from needing to physically clutch it. Keep a few genuine treasures if they bring you real joy, but release the anchors you're holding onto, out of fear. The fear that letting go of the object means losing the self. It doesn't. And the feeling when you finally release them is one of the most profound in all of this. The feeling of being unstuck, of stepping fully into your present life, of stopping the quiet grip of a past that was holding you in place. You don't lose who you were, you free who you are now. Throw out the anchors to a former self you're clutching out of fear. What you'll feel, unstuck, and finally present in your own life. The final thing to throw out isn't a physical object at all, and it's the most important one on the list. Here's what the whole practice of Danshari eventually reveals. The clutter in your home and the clutter in your mind are connected. As you release the physical things, the guilt gifts, the broken piles, the anchors to the past, you begin to notice that you've been storing the mental equivalents too. The grudges you're holding on to that serve no purpose. The regrets you keep replaying. The worries about things you can't control. The mental, someday list of everything you're failing to get to. The emotional weight of a past you can't change and a future you can't control. Cluttering your inner space exactly as the objects cluttered your outer one. The deepest insight of the Japanese approach is that these are the same act. Learning to ask, of a physical object, does this still serve the life I'm living now? And letting go of what doesn't is a skill that transfers directly inward. The same question works on a grudge, a regret, a worry, an old story you tell about yourself. Does this still serve me, or am I just storing it out of habit, guilt, or fear? And most of the mental clutter, like most of the physical clutter, turns out to be something you can release. Something you were only carrying because you never stopped to ask whether you still needed to. This is why Danshari is really a practice of liberation rather than tidying. The cleared closet is just the beginning. The real prize is a cleared mind. Lighter, more present, freed from the weight of everything you'd been storing without realizing it. As you throw out the physical things that no longer serve you, you learn, object by object, how to throw out the mental ones too. And a home and a mind with room to breathe is a genuinely different way to live. Throw out the grudges, regrets, and worries that no longer serve you. What you'll feel, the deepest lightness of all. So let's gather the 7. The clothes for a life you're not living, the gifts kept out of guilt, the broken someday pile, the things kept to impress others, the excess of things you use, the anchors to who you used to be, and the mental clutter underneath it all. Notice the thread running through everyone. Not a single one is really about the object. Each is about what the object is doing to you. The message it sends, the weight it carries, the loop it holds open. the past it anchors you to. That's the difference between Western decluttering and the Japanese way. Decluttering tidies a space. Dansari frees a person. You're not throwing things out to make your home look neater. You're throwing them out to release the quiet, invisible weight they've been placing on you, and to make room, in your home and in your mind, for the life you're actually living now. And here's how to begin tonight, without overwhelming yourself. Don't try to do all 7. Just pick one thing, a single object you know, right now, is weighing on you. The guilt gift, the clothes that don't fit, the anchor to a past self. And let it go, consciously, with gratitude for whatever it gave you. Then pay attention to how you feel. That small lightness, that quiet exhale, that's the whole practice in miniature. That's Danshari. And it's the beginning of a lighter home and a lighter you. Now I want to hear from you. Of these 7, which one are you holding on to right now? And which one are you finally ready to let go of? Tell me the number in the comments, and be honest, because naming it is the first real step. And if this gave you a new way to think about the things in your home and the weight they've been quietly placing on you, share it with one person who could use a little more lightness in their life. I'll see you in the next one.